You're making grilled cheese tonight. The store with the really, really good cheese closes at 7. If it's 12.1 miles away and work ends at 5:45 but rush hour picks up around 6:15, when's the latest you can leave for cheese? Don't know? Not to worry. Waze knows. Take a look at the traffic forecast and plan your drive ahead of time. Waze. Download and drive today.
Buying a used truck can be full of unknowns. But at Penske, we know trucks. Our expert sales team can help you find the right used vehicle to meet your business needs. Plus, at Penske, buying is easy with financing, insurance, and warranty programs available. Leave the unknowns behind and buy with confidence. View Penske's entire inventory, current deals, manager specials, and used truck center locations at PenskeUsedTrucks.com.
What's going on? You are tuned into the Cigars with Mac podcast. And today we're going to weigh in on the Nick Cannon apology tour. You know, and talk about some other things going on in the media around us. You know, but yeah, we're going to weigh in on this Nick Cannon thing, man, because it's a trip. But before we get started, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from one of our sponsors. Are you looking for a fresh start to your day? Well, look no further than CowtownBeanExpress.com. CowtownBeanExpress.com is coffee right at your fingertips. If you're looking for a fresh start to your day, look no further. CowtownBeanExpress.com has quality products that are ethically produced and delicious, and I promise you'll love it when you shop there. It's fresh coffee delivered right at your fingertips. They have worldwide shipping, and they also have luxury coffee. As they say, it's heaven in a cup. So look no further than CowtownBeanExpress.com. That's CowtownBeanExpress.com. All right, young lady, let's talk about it. You know, I've been just sitting back, you know, kind of waiting to see how everything unfolds, and I think it's pretty much what it's gonna be as far as our brother Nick Cannon. You know, what you think about what's going on with Nick Cannon from your standpoint?
I found out about it through I hadn't watched it. I just heard that you said, well, how she repeats to me is, Nick Cannon said that white people were close to animals, and that's why, that's why they act the way they do, and and so when I initially heard that, I thought, well, okay, like you just can't say anything, and they still keep your platform, so I just left it at that. Like, we can't have this double standard where, they can't say anything about us, but then, we say something like, oh, they're close to animals, and then we get upset, when they respond to it.
Yeah.
And so I was talking with another friend. I still hadn't watched it yet, and then I was talking to another friend or whatever. She brought it up, And she was basically saying, you know, she agreed with him and da. And I was like, yeah, like, well, we can't have it, whether you agree with him or not, you can't have it both ways, you know, basically something. She's like, but no, he didn't say that. He didn't say they were close to animals. You know, he did a historical take, and I was like, well, let me just watch it for myself so I can get, you know, have my own opinion about it. So I listened to what he said, and, you know, first I want to say that I think he could have did a better job of stating that he's not talking about, you know, white people of today. You know, he was saying historically, you know, the reason why, you know, white people were so violent towards the melanated people, if you want to call them, like, people of the Caucasus Mountains, were so violent towards the melanated people. It's because they understood that the melanated people DNA was dominant, and that, you know, you could wipe their race out. So if they didn't want to become extinct, you know, they were barbaric toward the melanated people and didn't have a, you know, as we say, a soul, because they understood that, you know, wipe out their race or whatever, you know, it be non-existent. But, you know, he didn't, I feel like, you know, maybe he didn't explain it, you know, he just said, you know, why some people are so which could be leading open to interpretation that he's saying, like, white people of today, you know, are barbaric and close to animals, you know, and this is why they don't have a soul, Like, yeah. I didn't take it as he was saying it. Nevertheless, you know, because he has a platform where he has multiple races of people that follow him, I think it might would have been a better approach to just talk about the melanated side of it and what he's learned about that, and just, you know, leave it up, you know, that's not our job to educate other people about, you know, their ancestors, leave it up to everybody to learn about themselves. Like, they don't necessarily need our help, especially when, you know, it could be seen as offensive. Now, when it comes to this apology, because he's made a second apology as of this morning, where he said, I don't know word for word, you know, you find out that you heard, I'm going to generalize, I can't remember what he said. You find out you've heard a group of people, so you apologize to only find out their own people have turned against you. Is like one of the most hurtful things ever, blah, blah, blah. See, now that changes my opinion on things. Because before I was with me, I had told my friend, like, you know, if he apologizes, there's a chance that he could have been threatened, you know? You know, we can't just, because I also think a lot of these athletes, like, if you look at Cam Newton, he's like night and day from what he was, you know? Like, he changed his whole I just feel like something going on that we're not seeing. And it's more than about the money. It's something else that got to be going on that we're not seeing, that we don't understand, that a person could be like day and night, you know, over the course of a couple months. Somebody got sick. Somebody said something. So that's what I would think with Nick. Somebody got to him. You know, that's why he apologized. I'm not going to go against the brother just yet because I don't know that, you know, I don't know that industry. I just heard, like, too many people don't make out of it. A lot of people die. You know, a lot of people die in that industry or get struggling. So, you know, something negative when it comes to that industry. So, you know, I don't know what's going on, and so I wasn't going to judge. But then this morning, when I saw him try to turn it back on, you know, us, saying your own people turning against you for apologizing, you know, then I got a little offended because I was like, you kind of hyped us up. You know what I'm saying? Like, you were like, you know, you can't fire a boss, and, you know, the truth is the truth, And people were ready to stand behind you for you to, you know, people were ready to stand behind you for you to come back and then apologize. So you can't blame us for being disappointed in the fact that you're not willing to stand in the fight that you started. You know, you started this fight, and then you went and hid your hands, you know. So I just feel like if you're going to bring up a subject like this that could be touchy, and then we know, you know, like we know that a lot of people could be offended by it. Like, if you're not willing to back up your studies and say, this is where I found this, and this is how I know this to be true. And if people like you and say that I don't see how it's anti-Semitic, but if people come and say that, you know, this, that, and this, like, you got to be willing to stand in your truth. Like, you know, I get a lot of heat. This ain't got nothing related to like this whole race thing that he got going on. I don't stop this whole COVID thing with the mask. Hello?
Yeah, your phone was. Okay. Your phone was repeat what you just said. Your phone was tripping.
Oh, okay.
I hear you loud and clear.
Hello?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you loud and clear.
Okay, I was just saying, I know I'm not a big figure like him, and nobody's come to try to take my paycheck, so I don't want to compare this. But I'm just gonna say, like, if I say something that would be seen as pro-Trump, people always, attack that. I've been called a coon, Or if I say, I don't believe mass work. Huh?
You have been called a coon?
Oh, yeah, a couple times.
You ain't tell me about that.
Huh?
You ain't never tell me about that.
Well, just because I say, I don't, like I say, well, I don't see a problem with him skipping the CDC when they're fluffing up the numbers, and maybe he's not, It's like, well, you just living in this bubble, and you're just worried about yourself, like I said, I've been called a coon, for my support, but whatever. Okay. But all I'm saying is I don't back down. Like, I get it. I don't have his platform. I'm not at the point where I'm going to lose money, But, like, when, I know, certain things I know I'll be attacked for. But I'm not going to back. If I truly believe it, I'm not going to back down just because you disagree with me. I'm willing to have these conversations, and people can tell me, this is how I believe, this is why I believe this. And, I'm willing to hear, like, whatever you got to say, but I'm not going to back down. So I think if he would have just came and said, I apologize if I hurt people's feelings, but this is where I'm coming from, and this is what I said. It was never meant to offend people. I didn't mean it in a way to be offensive. I could have understood, the apology, but in his, this whole trying to blame other people when you riled up the core, that's took me the wrong way.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you. I personally feel that Nick went on this apologetic tour because at the end of the day, he has a family. I don't know if he's remarried since Mariah, but he definitely has. He has people depending on him not only in his personal family but on the Wild and Out brand. That's pretty much his brand, even though it was financially backed by Viacom, but he had people depending on him. He had these comedians who their careers have been springboarded off of a Wild and Out, and and I can't remember if they said they're gonna cancel Wild and Out or they just gonna remove him from Wild and Out. But either way it goes, their livelihood, a portion of their livelihood is in his hands, and on one end, I understand because, you and I both have been in corporate America, and in corporate America, even on a job that you have to play the game. It's certain things you can't say, and I think that's what messed Nick up, and I think when Nick really sat down and thought about it, he was like, well, hold on now, I'm about to, mess some people up, man. I gotta rethink what I just did, and mind you, this interview was over a month old, but as you know, we live in a culture to where people can dig up information on you and they can present it as new information and the public doesn't even think, well, this was a month ago. All they see.
It doesn't matter. Still saying his mindset hasn't changed in a month. It wasn't 10 years ago. It was a month ago.
True.
It's still just as relevant.
I get that, but what I'm saying is, I'm not disagreeing. But what I'm saying is, it wasn't like it was just fresh information,
All right.
And
well, it's new to whoever got it, I guess.
Yeah, I get that.
They didn't know about it.
Yeah, but that's the culture we live in nowadays. And if people find information on you, whether it be fresh or old information, it can ruin your, all that he's built up, as far as his brand. He's been in the industry for over 20 years, and he's really worked his ass off, I'm not even going to discuss whether I think he's talented or not. That's not even important. The fact of the matter is that he's built a brand. he's built an entire brand, and he's put people on. And that one decision is basically hurting him, because he's worth somewhere around $30 million, and that's a lot of money to me and you. But I think to him, he's accustomed to a certain lifestyle now, and he can't ruin that. And like I said, I kind of knew this was gonna happen. I just didn't know how soon it was gonna happen.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, if he wants to have his podcast, it was a podcast, right?
Yeah, it was a podcast.
Yeah. So if he wants to have his own podcast, and he wants to say what he wants to say, then he's gonna have to get back, his own project. So if something like this is to happen, if you have a diversity, diverse people that follow you. So, you got to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you truly stand in this, if you truly believe whatever it is that you were saying, and I ain't going to believe that overnight, it came out and then he apologized that evening, I think, and then, whatever. Mm-hmm. I ain't going to believe he learned something that groundbreaking within those hours that changed his mind.
Yeah.
So, of course, he stayed the face, trying to whatever he's trying to do, which, hey, that's your life, live your life. But, if you truly believe what you said and, you believe this to be true and you wanted to get this message out, as we talked about your other podcast, and I know he got plenty of FP money. So, but, like you said, people are dependent on him, like his Wild 'N Out crew. That's they didn't expect, they didn't put themselves in this position. So maybe, he was pressure from them. But I just feel like, if you want to be that person and you want to have that platform and you want to speak your truth, what you find to be true, if you feel like you've researched it and it's true, and you're put in a position that you can't say your truth, then you need to take yourself out of that position. You need to find a position where you can speak your truth, because, who wants to live up about it? You gotta walk on eggshells. To throw out the term anti-Semitic, I just feel like that's like, first of all, the fact that it's a term is already a problem.
Yeah.
If a black person is racist against a white person is racist, and reverse racism, what they want to call it. Or vice versa, if a white person is racist against a black person is racist. If I'm racist against an Asian person, it's racism. But if I say something negative, I guess you say it's not a race, it's a religion, but whatever. I guess a Jewish person, they get their own term. It's anti-Semitic, I don't know. So the fact that they even have that is like crazy. But I don't see what he said was anti-Semitic. Are they speaking of it when he said black people were the true Jews and all that stuff? I haven't researched this. I don't have anything to say on that, yay or nay. But that's the only thing I heard him say about the Jews. But that just lets you know who runs everything and who the powers that be. And, I think we just need to counsel all celebrities at this point. I'm just done with everybody, because they've been nothing but negative to our culture. They pushed this, this drug. People don't want to blame rap music, but just like the stuff they say and they promote, it has to have an effect on people. We just need to counsel all these celebrities. We need to champion the people in our neighborhoods, the people that we know personally, that we know what they're doing, because we're supporting people and, riding with people that we don't even know their true intentions.
Yeah. And,
what was the purpose of this? We don't know what the, when it hits the news, you always have to question it because they have an agenda. So it's we don't even know what was the true purpose of this coming out. And what are they trying to accomplish? Because everybody has been, when I say everybody, but a lot of people have been predicting, come November, become the end of 2020, it's going to be this big race war. And I personally believe that people are too lazy to have a race war. But, they keep doing things. I feel like the media keeps pushing certain agendas to create an atmosphere us against them. Even if it's the whole superiority complex of, hey hey guys, you're black, you're better than, or instead of just explaining what it is, or, it's like they're trying to push us against each other. And people say, oh, people are already divided. But as I said again, I just feel like, and I can't speak for everybody. I can't, my perception is my reality. So that's what I go by, because that's what I know,
Mm-hmm.
And so I just know in my everyday life, I don't have a lot of these experiences, And so I'm not saying that, I'm just saying Facebook and Instagram and the internet and the media, they will make you think the world is like burning down outside. And then you go outside and it's not, So I was like, they try to push this, and then you're going to see what you think. I'll give you an example. And I know, like I said, I don't want to make it seem like I'm saying, like, there's not, like, a racial tension. There's not racial, because it is. I've seen it before. I know there is. That's not what I'm saying. But I'm just saying your perception can drive you a long way. Like, I was at a swimming pool with my daughter, my niece, and my nephew, and her husband. And the kids, of course, they were loud. The kids. They were loud and playing, and there was a white lady there. And so, like, as soon as the kids got in the swimming pool or whatever, it's like she kind of, like, pushed back and got up, and, like, she left. So in my mind, I was thinking, like, like, we can't even coexist in the swimming pool together. Like, why? She got this attitude that,
Yeah.
That's just what I thought, right? And before she left, she walked around and was like, ooh, your kids are, very well behaved. Like, if I brought my granddaughter here, she's been running all around here, It's good to see kids, that, listen to their parents, And I said that, I thought, I was like, I assumed she was getting out of school because of us, and then she had an issue with us. So I made the situation what I thought it should be. Now, I'm not saying, like I said, I always have said it because they, you gotta say racism doesn't exist. I never said that. What I'm saying is, whatever you go looking for, you're gonna find.
That's
and so
right.
they keep pushing this climate of this black against white and this and that. Not that we don't have our issues, but if you go looking for everything to find, like, there are just some bad people in the world. And no matter if you're black or white, they're just not gonna like you and they're not gonna treat you right. But you can't assume because somebody's an a-hole that they are racist. It could just be an a-hole. They could just be an all around bad person. And, you're going to find what is all I'm saying. And if they keep pushing this whole idea that, we don't get along and black and white people don't like each other and it's a horrible race condition here, it's like, we're going to see that because they keep pushing it. And, I don't know. So, like, even, like, the whole idea with police officers, and I definitely think there needs to be police reform and they have too many power, they need to be put in check. But I've never had a bad experience with a police officer. And before I got social media, like, I used to stop the police all the time, like, for my convenience. This is something I'm not supposed to do. Like, hey, I can't. Like, I remember when I first moved out here before, the first time, that's before everybody had GPS on their phones and stuff. And I went somewhere with my sister. We had agreed we wasn't going to go in the club. It was over $20. And it was $25. We decided to keep going. I was like, I'm not paying $25 for the club. But I didn't know how to get back home. And I just, in the middle of the night, I just waved down a police officer. And I was like, I'm lost. Can you help me get home? And, he actually took me back, explained how to get home and took me to the highway, Like, I've just always, had, before now, because of everything, I don't want to stop me. But, like, my mindset has changed about what a police officer is, It's like, ooh, I don't want to call him because he might shoot us off, And I used to never think like that because I've never had an issue with a police officer. Like, I rarely ever get a ticket. I always get out of it. I've never had an issue with a police officer. But now, because of social media, because of the news, because they push, and I'm not saying there aren't bad police officers out there, but there are a lot of just regular ones too. They might not be the greatest, but they're not horrible. So they're not going to kill you. But my mind is trained now, like, they not my friend, don't stop them, don't call them unless you absolutely have to. I just think it's dangerous, what we do.
Well,
I don't know how we got here.
Let me play this. Let me play this. The Nick Cannon and Professor Griff. It's a small clip. I'm gonna play it right now, and then that way we can make sure. That way we can get it accurate. All right, hold on.
Okay.
All right. Turn my volume up.
Following racial and anti-Semitic comments he made on his podcast. Now, with that new fallout for Nick Cannon.
Your morning commute typically takes 25 minutes. If a 400 cubic foot dairy truck spills 2% milk on the freeway, causing you to take a detour and get stuck at a drawbridge for 20 minutes, how late will you be? Don't know? Well, good news, you don't have to, because Waze knows. With real-time traffic alerts from real Waze users, your ETA is always up to date. Waze. Download and drive today.
Buying a used truck can be full of unknowns. But at Penske, we know trucks. Our expert sales team can help you find the right used vehicle to meet your business needs. Plus, at Penske, buying is easy with financing, insurance, and warranty programs available. Leave the unknowns behind and buy with confidence. View Penske's entire inventory, current deals, manager specials, and used truck center locations at PenskeUsedTrucks.com.
The actor, rapper, and television host fired by Viacom overnight following racial and anti-Semitic comments he made on his podcast. Eva Pilgrim has those details for us. Good morning, Eva.
Good morning, Robin. Cannon has been on social media tweeting both messages of support and attack. The network saying they fired Cannon after he promoted hateful speech on his podcast on YouTube. Overnight backlash for Nick Cannon after these controversial comments on his podcast, Cannon's Class.
We are the Semitic people. When we are the same people that who they want to be, that's our birthright.
Viacom CBS announcing they are cutting ties with the comedian.
What about the big ear corn?
Who they have had a decades-long relationship with.
So the people that don't have it are a little, and I'm going to say this carefully, are a little less.
In the June 30th episode of his podcast, Cannon speaking to former Public Enemy member Professor Griff.
The only way that they can act is evil. The only way they have to rob, steal, rape, kill, and
fight or flight,
in order to survive.
Exactly.
So then these people who didn't have what we had, and when I say we, I speak of the melanated people.
Right.
They had to be savages.
The 39-year-old host facing criticism for his comment, also accused of perpetuating an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory.
The Rothschild, centralized banking, the bloodlines that control everything even outside of America.
Cannon, who most recently hosted the Fox show The Masked Singer, taking to social media Monday to explain, saying, "Anyone who knows me knows that I have no hate in my heart nor malice intentions." But Cannon stopped short of apologizing, instead saying, "I hold myself accountable for this moment and take full responsibility." Cannon's long-running show Wild and Out airs on VH1, Viacom CBS saying in a statement overnight that they condemn bigotry of any kind. And Viacom telling ABC News, "We are deeply troubled that Nick has failed to acknowledge."
All right. So there we have it.
That's what I thought it said.
Huh?
I didn't hear him say about, I didn't know the Rothschilds. But did he lie? I mean, and then when he's talking about, I guess you say it's not about Nick lie. It's about, was it offensive? But I don't know why, I'm not Jewish, so I don't know why they get offended when people say they run everything. When they run everything, I don't know. I mean, I understand why white people would be offended by what he said. I get it. I get that. Even though I don't think he's talking about white people of today. I think he was talking about their ancestors and how their mechanism they use to survive. I think, that's what he was talking about. But he didn't clarify, so I'm making an assumption. But they like to send results so they can make whatever. But I understand why they would be offended, maybe. But the whole anti-Semitic, I don't really understand what he said. What was offensive, especially if it's true,
Yeah, I'm really tripping because I didn't hear the other part about the Rothschilds and all that. I mean, he should have chose his words very careful because I'm not gonna lie, Nick Cannon is a brand now. And as you know, as a business owner, you have to protect your brand. You got to protect your brand. And let me ask you this. Do you think that Black America would have still rolled with him had he not made the apologies he made? Do you think our people would have rolled with him to the end, or what?
I think they're gonna roll with him now. I think that he's a black male, and there's a privilege of being a black male that they don't get counseled. Like it's like he had to be a black female, that they would have been done.
Hold on.
Well, I'm just saying, because he's a black male, we're gonna give him a month in time out, maybe, and all he gotta do is come back out with something. I mean, come on. Like, you got all these people that, like, y'all stuff called counsel Kanye, but everybody went out and got his shoes. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying I think Kanye should be counseled. I'm just saying what people were saying. They were like, I'm so over him. All Chrisette Michele said was, I just thought maybe I could help. I could bridge, the talk. They're like, oh, she's stupid. He counseled her. Y'all really counseled the girl. You know, it's like we don't, Monique said the same thing about, oh, Netflix is racist. They want to pay me less and da-da-da. Y'all like, oh, go sit down somewhere. We ain't got time for you. You don't even deserve that type of money. And, Nick came out and said white people are animals. Y'all, but we stand behind you, and we don't care what they say. We're going to be here. So
hold on now we got to talk about, we got to break all that down because we got to break that down. So you think black men have privilege?
I think they do. Yes. Yes.
Why? Okay.
I just told you.
Do you think that privilege is even with regular people or just with celebrities and public figures?
I just think we're more accepting of black men in every, like black women have been killed by the police. Black women, and it's always, I feel like it's always an undertone of what did she do, Yeah. When it's a black man, it's like with a black man, we just instantly jump into it. Like with the whole George Floyd thing, right? Like, I called my friend or whatever, and I was like, I'm sitting this one out. Like, I think it was horrible how he died. I think, that police should definitely go to jail and somebody should stand on his neck for 8 seconds. But I just feel like, I don't want to be, I'm tired of riding out for the same people that then turn around and don't have, our back. You know what I mean? And like, I love black men, but let's be clear about that, and I date black men, let's be clear about that. But at the same time, it's hard to keep riding people that don't ride. Like, I remember like when Wakanda came out and everybody was so into, Black Panther, da-da-da. And, it was beautiful to see it, but at the same time, it was irritating because I was like, these same people, when I say people, I'm talking about black people, that love this movie and like, is loving, the black female warriors and all this stuff. These are the same men that turn around and say, they support Lil Wayne and then they like say, she was better red, they have this, sister mentality that I want somebody that looks exotic or, they don't want to think dark-skinned girls and, skin color is never a big, because I fall right in the middle. I'm not light, I'm not dark. Like, growing up, I never had an issue with skin color because, no one ever mentioned it, which is I'm brown. But, I do see, I have seen people, not talk to a darker-skinned girl just because of their own complexes or make it seem like a negative thing because they're darker and, prefer. Everybody can have their preferences, but like, okay, this girl right here would you consider cute if she wasn't lighter in tone. Like,
I don't completely agree with you because there are, for women, black women, white women, it's all like the world to me is more forgiving of women, and I'm gonna tell you why. For instance, let's bring up, the celebrity, Jada Pinkett Smith.
Yeah.
You have more women defending her than you have speaking out against her. Now, I personally think, we've all heard the rumors about they have an open relationship and all that, but I personally think that was kind of staged because Will Smith has a brand. I mean, he just does. He has a brand, and I feel like he had to do that.
Open marriage was staged.
Say again.
You you think the open marriage part was staged?
No, I think they really do have an open marriage. I believe that the red table talk was staged.
Oh, yeah. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, and I think more women were really more forgiving of her. I mean, had Will Smith done that, man, it would have been.
But this is the difference. Okay, so if a man, usually if it's a man, woman, like a man cheating on a woman thing or whatever, like as far as like a celebrity gets caught, like if his side person came out, side chick came out or whatever, and got caught and, blasted all this, it wouldn't be a coming to the, oh, we were not together at the time. Like, that's the first thing he said out of his mouth. It's kind of like, how do you get mad? And we say this about women when they go back to men that cheat on them. We go, how am I upset? And they're not upset. It's like, if he's sitting there telling us we weren't together, I was done with you, we didn't think we could get back together, and you had a relationship with August, who am I then to say you're wrong? You should have, even though you were single at the time, you should have stayed single. Usually with the men, we're in an active relationship. I think we're both being monogamous, because we're together. Mm-hmm. And then I find out you got an ex-girlfriend. So that's a totally different subject. Like, both y'all agree that it's okay, y'all go date each other because we done with each other. We just so happen got back together, like marriage just happened, right? People fall out, they don't think they're gonna stay married, so they go date other people, and then they find a way back to each other, and y'all decided to get back together. That's not even a conversation. Well, nobody's life is not a conversation, but that's not even a conversation I could be a part of, because he said it out of his mouth. Like, he was there. He said, I was done with you. He said that. That was out of his mouth. So that's why we understand, because you thought your marriage was over, and the saying always is the best way to get over somebody is to get under a new person. So you want to be distracted and go. And let's just say, Jada has been vilified. Not only have people said she's a horrible wife, even though they were obviously not even together at the time. People were trying to say, oh, she took advantage of August. He was broken. He is a grown man. And when you're grown and you make grown decisions, you got to deal with the grown consequences that if you're dating somebody that's, separated from their husband at the time, there is a chance, there's always a chance they can get back together. So you got to live with those consequences. And plus, he feel fulfilled. What do you say? I can die now. She has saved his whole life. She has let him live to the fullest of his, still love to the fullest of his extent. He ready to die. So she did him a favor. And y'all have vilified Jada. And even though I think she lying anyway, I think both of them just had an open marriage and was out there doing what they want to do. But the scenario they gave us, she saved August. She showed him the highest level of love.
And I'm gonna tell you though, being a man I've been married almost 14 years now, and I've discovered that the longer you've been married, certain things you can kind of get past, And I just feel like, as a man, like I said before, we're going to get back to, I'm going to bring it back home to when you said you feel like men have it easier. I have to disagree because as a man, if, say, for instance, I lose my house, people are not going to ask my wife, what did you do? They're going to say, why didn't that man you was married to, why did he let that happen? And as a man, I mean, I've been fired from a job before, and in my white counterpart, he didn't get fired. All he got was a talking to. But I got even though I was able to get my job back, but I was in so many ways humiliated. And all I was doing was following the company rules, and I threw the book back I threw their regulations back to them. But at the end of the day, had I been a woman, it would have been a little different. I could have shed some tears, and but a man, they're not trying.
To shed tears. Did you shed tears? Did you shed tears?
The tears I shed, I started calling the HR lady a bitch.
You set yourself up. You can't say it's because you were a man.
No.
Like,
well, the thing is was that the situation I was put in was could have been avoided altogether. And it got so bad to where I basically could have sued the company. I mean, they had to back pay me, and they was apologizing to me, and I did the right thing. And the lady who made the decision, she made an illogical decision that could have cost the company a lot of money. So what do you expect? You know, like I said before, you know, my thing was, you know, and I'm getting back to being a man, that she could care less. At that time, she was all she was thinking of was protecting the company, and she almost fucked the company.
That's not because you're a man. That happens on both sides. That happens to women. I can give you a million situations where that has happened to women before. Like, That's not because you're a man. Like, I know when I worked, I'll say the name because they closed down now anyway. When I was at Moore and I worked at Action Marketing, one of my direct supervisor that they hired off the street or whatever, I'm not going to say his name, but yeah, my direct supervisor found out he was sexually harassing the people on my team. And, you know, he had sent me inappropriate text messages too, but the only reason I didn't just, you know, I didn't turn him in because I thought he was gay. So I kind of ignored it. It was like, maybe he made a mistake, you know, because like he had tagged me and like it was a male coworker. I'm saying, let's all go play strip poker together, da-da-da. But I kind of just called myself, like, what is this about? And I just kind of ignored it. He stood too close, okay? I can get on that one too, but let me finish his first. Well, one day I was at work, and another girl comes up to me, not even the girl he was like doing this to, came up to me. She's like, the other girl, you know, she's been harassed by the guy, by our manager or whatever. And he told her the only way, because it was like a high turn job. It was like, we were a third party company that we took other companies' calls or whatever. So she came to me and she's like, he's harassing her. He told her the only way she could keep her job is basically because her numbers were low. He's like, I can guarantee you to me, you know, you keep your job, da-da-da. So because she told me, then I had to go report it, right? I couldn't just ignore it. So I went to go report it and said, okay, I'm going to look into it. So then when he comes into work that day, the HR people call her to the back. And so it's a small company, right? It's in Monroe. So you don't know how many people. So he sees her and he calls her back. So I guess he knows, and he's smiling like, why would she be going to talk to HR? So he asked me, he's like, what's she going to HR for? I said, I don't know. And then he's like, come here. And so he called her over there. I got her or whatever. Long story short, you know, they called her back to interview her, blah, blah, blah. And then they said she lying. They said she was lying or whatever. And they didn't fire her. She ends up getting fired. Then another girl comes up and says it also. And she's like a team lead there. And so instead of them getting rid of him, they say, okay, because like I told you, we were a third-party company, so we had multiple companies in that call center. So they pushed her back. We worked for Weight Watchers at the time also. They pushed her on the Weight Watchers side and cut her hours so that they wouldn't be working at the same time. Then he would start harassing this other girl, and then like our direct, like the call center management, he found out about it. So, you know, he eventually let him go. The girl that he switched over, because she got a lawyer. She switched over to the other side or whatever. She ended up getting a lawyer. Like they said, same thing you said, you could have caused the whole company, you know, to go down because you're trying to take up for one man that's out here harassing all these women. And then you call them to the back. Like, they not even telling, you know, HR. Like, you know, it was told to me, and I told HR, and they're like, well, you're lying. How do we know you're telling the truth? Okay, we're going to move you to the other side, da-da-da. Because they're covering for him. So, and then we had another manager, you know, you could say it's a bad company, but, you know, when I share these stories, I hear this all the time again. And these are two black men. And the management were white women or whatever, and the other manager, the higher manager, was a white man. But nevertheless, he had felonies and was scamming people at the center. Somebody, he was an investment banker. And they was like, I don't know how we lost this. They had to like clean it up undercover. Like, they just moved them out. Like, I remember I was on my vacation and like one of the managers was like, you won't believe who such and such is and what he had on his background and da-da-da. Like, I've seen it happen where people just make bad decisions. It ain't because you're a man. You might feel like that because you are a man. It's just that, you know, people make bad decisions and they feel like they're right. And they go, well, I got fired to seek it out because I had 28 4-year-olds in my classroom, and I told we had a meeting. I got fired the next day. We had a meeting right before Christmas. We had a meeting that day, and I said to myself, "Don't say anything, just sit in here." But then she attacked us like we ain't doing nothing. We just a daycare, and I was like, we do have 28 4-year-olds in our classroom, and you want I believe in hands-on activities, and I was like, you want us to do worksheets with 4-year-olds over, and they need to because they're going to be tested, and that's your job if they don't pass the test. And then she wanted me to drive from the elementary school once my 4-year-olds went down for nap and go teach at the high school, but I wasn't going to get compensated more. And I was like, no, I'm not doing that. And the next day when I walked into work, they wouldn't even let me touch my classroom. He stopped me. He's like, hey, we're letting you go. And I was like, why? He's like, I don't know. They didn't tell me, but when do you want to come back and get your stuff? You got, that's how they fired me, 2 days before Christmas break. And I'm a woman. I mean, the people do stupid stuff. And I could have sued them for retaliation because that's what it was. I didn't I spoke out at the meeting and they fired me the next day. But, it's just, people do crazy things.
I guess.
I always take it inside. Don't want me there.
I guess I'm just telling you what I've experienced. I mean that's just one of many. We can go tit for tat, but I just don't agree with you on that. I mean historically, black men have been we've been shitted on, and I'm not saying black women haven't been shitted on. I'm not even gonna go there because of course. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to say that black men have it easier. That's basically my point, because when we look at celebrities, so these celebrities say some of the craziest shit. And it doesn't bother me because I'm going to tell you why it don't bother me, because they live in another world, unfortunately. And that's why when you were speaking of canceling the celebrities, I understood what you meant. My whole thing is I don't need a celebrity to speak out for me.
Right.
I'm trying to create a life for myself and my family because I want to show my offspring that you can be successful even if you're not a ball player, even if you're not an entertainer. Because the average kid living in the hood, all they think, and I'm not saying all, but a good majority see sports players. They see that's their way out, but nobody talks about go be an engineer, go be a doctor, start your own business.
No, I didn't even know those things existed, until I got to college. See? I just knew about my mom was a school teacher, so I knew I could be a teacher, a social worker, a doctor, a lawyer, the basic. I didn't even think I understood what a pharmacist was. I think in my mind, I kind of, I knew they existed, but I kind of thought they were just workers of which they are workers of the I didn't understand fully what a pharmacist was. They make $100,000 a year.
What high school did you graduate from?
I went to a high school in Monroe called Washington High.
No, what year? What, 2000?
2000, yeah.
Did you know, did you know Benny, Mr. Alsbury?
No.
He had retired. He probably retired by the time you got there. Anyway, that's a family member of mine. But anyway, and so you went to Grambling State, and what did you major in college?
I ended up graduating in criminal justice. I originally went to school and I was a social work major, and I remember in class when our professor was like, why do y'all want to be social work majors? Do you love, helping? He's like, you're not going to make any money. And that's all he had to say. And I was like, I'm done with this. And so I switched my major to biology.
Yeah.
And then, just to be honest, I was lazy, and biology takes a lot of work. And so I was like, I need to get out of this major. And so I was like, I could just, when I first went to college, I had the idea of going to law school. So I was like, maybe I could just do something like this. Because I couldn't figure out, where I felt, where I could fall in biology, what area did I want to pursue. And, I think high school is outdated now, sitting kids in the classroom, hour after hour, I think that's outdated. They need to be learning about different majors not just learning about them, but just like out in the field. You know, I don't know how they could make that happen, but that'd be great if they could figure that out, because you shouldn't go to college not knowing, you know. And I guess if you could say some of it could lay on my family, my parents, maybe they should do.
Support for this podcast comes from Magic: The Gathering Arena. You know the name. Now play the original strategy card game for free in an immersive digital experience full of explosive action and rewarding challenges. New to Magic? No problem. MTG Arena gives you the tools to become a Magic master. Learn the basics at your own pace and unlock 15 decks just by playing. Download Magic: The Gathering Arena for free on your Mac or PC, available on the Epic Games Store.
Buying a used truck can be full of unknowns. But at Penske, we know trucks. Our expert sales team can help you find the right used vehicle to meet your business needs. Plus, at Penske, buying is easy with financing, insurance, and warranty programs available. Leave the unknowns behind and buy with confidence. View Penske's entire inventory, current deals, manager specials, and used truck center locations at PenskeUsedTrucks.com.
But my mom was so determined to make me a teacher, which that's what I ended up doing. But
So
she did, whatever.
So you was a teacher out here in Dallas too for a little bit. That school you was at.
I was.
Okay.
I was in Fort Worth at one time, and I was in DeSoto.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah. Like I said, I'm. That's what and I'm pretty sure that's what your hope is for you and your baby girl, your family. You know, because. Like me personally, I majored in I went to the military, and my background was supply chain and logistics, you know, and I ended up getting my degree after 10 years of going to school off and on. I got my degree in healthcare management, and through my experience, and I never got an opportunity to even work in healthcare. I did, but it really wasn't what I wanted. So I ended up getting back into the aerospace industry, and now I'm pretty much like right now my title is just a project manager, you know, and I work in aerospace and defense. But basically, the military, you take an aptitude test, and I picked my job I wanted, and believe it or not, that's what I do now, like supply, logistics, project management, you know, that's what I'm good at. And I enjoy doing it. I enjoy doing that. And what I did in military, even though I don't do the same thing, but it's still in the same family tree. But, you know, I just want to, like I said, I understood what you meant as far as, you know, we don't need to be, no, and don't get me wrong. I enjoy celebrity gossip like anybody else, but it just doesn't overtake me, you know, and it's great show. I'm not gonna lie to you. It makes great show topics, because at the end of the day, like I said, my podcast I talk about a variety of things, you know, and the thing about, you know, what's going on as far as celebrity issues, these issues or things that happen in the celebrity spectrum, a lot of times they set the tone for the behavior that the masses do, and it just trips me out with that. Have you noticed that? Yes, irritating. Like I've always been a Beyonce fan, kind of a little bit less now that I'm getting out of this. But like, you know, I'm not gonna spend any time harassing somebody because they said something negative about Beyonce. Like she's not my god. You know what I mean? That's what I think people do. They take these people. Or like, I was trying to explain to a guy one time about LeBron, you know, about how, you know, there are people who believe that, you know, that maybe this whole idea that he grew up poor is a facade, and like they had identified who they thought, you know, they had a long extensive research about who they thought who his father was, and that, you know, this is all a game they were playing. The people think like, oh, these poor kids come out the hood and become basketball players, da da da. And so I was just, you know, talking to him, and he was just like, no, you know, he's a good guy, da da da. And I was like, do you know him? Like, how can you be going so hard for somebody you don't know personally? Like, who's that? If you gonna hit me with the facts, hit me with the facts. But, you know, don't just be talking about he's a good dude, like you grew up down the street from. Like, be quiet. Like, I don't want to hear it. Like, what do you know? What do you know about him, really? All we know is what he does on the basketball court. That's it. And what he allows us to see.
Other than that, we don't know nothing about this man. I didn't grow up with him. He didn't grow up down the street. I don't know nothing about this man. So I'm open to anything. And like the more and more I find out about these celebrities and, you know, their lifestyle stuff they're doing, it's just like there's nothing to be applauded. And like I think it's all these count.
Yeah, if people really knew like I mean, don't get me wrong. I'll be honest with you. I'd rather not know some of these things about celebrities because when you know things about them, you kind of look at them a little differently, you know. And like I said, I just feel like, you know, I'm good at, in my opinion, compartmentalizing things in my life, you know. And I just don't take celebrities very serious. I just don't. Like, I really don't. And it's kind of like the Lil Wayne and 50 Cent conversation, the podcast, Lil Wayne podcast, and he was talking about the exotic women. What do you feel about that? I want to hear your opinion on that because you brought that up earlier, so we gotta talk about that.
Oh yeah, I brought it up, but it's just, you know, as people said before, like, why do we care what 50 Cent has to say? And again, you know, I've discussed this with my friends. You know, I have to even check this for myself because when you look online, you know, you get offended easily about, you know, how black men are so willing to go against black women. But in my real life, that's not true. Like, the black men I know in my real life, not black men, of course, because they're around me, you know. Mm-hmm. So it's like I try to stay, you know, it's hard because I do watch, you know, YouTube and I do see the comments. But, you know, I try to remind myself, like, that's not real life because when you meet these same people in real life, like, there's nothing. Like, I don't know why people post one thing and they're a different way in real life. But, you know, people go with the crowd, and I guess if people start saying, like, oh, black women, this, that, and this, they just go with it. Because then you meet these same people in real life, and they don't look like that. So, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with social media. And, you know, 50 Cent has the right to like who he wants, but I feel like he should have been counseled a long time ago when he did his own son. And so, but people feel like he's a deadbeat dad, and people still watch Power. So I don't know what to say about that. I refused to watch it because I didn't like how he said about his son was dead to him and all that, and I was like, I can't rock with that. So, you know, I don't think no one should care what this says because, you know, it's up. So.
I mean, like I said, I don't know, man. I mean, as you know, I'm married to a black woman. And
what?
I don't mind. I'm gonna tell you my whole take on brothers, you know, desiring exotic women because exotic could be that's a broad.
A black woman in Mexico.
Yeah, that's a broad brush. I think a lot of times, you know, and you know, a lot of sisters, you know, can take things out of context, you know, and 50 Cent was very careful in what he said. Exotic is so broad, you know, that's such a broad statement. But do you feel like, I mean, you're a single woman, so I'm not single, I'm married, but as a single woman, is it hard out here for you as far as dating men?
As far as dating, I mean, now I would say it is because I have a daughter. Okay. So, you know, before, when I could really date, like now it's kind of hard to date. You know, you can only be on the weekends, and everybody doesn't have a weekend job, you know? Yeah. And then you have to have a babysitter. You got to have a babysitter. Sometimes it just doesn't, you know, because my child is so small, you know, I'll say, and then I'm in Dallas. You know, like if I was still in Monroe where everything's right around the corner, it probably wouldn't be as hard. You know, I would say it's harder for me now because I have a daughter, you know. And what I will say is, like, laws of attraction work because, like, some of the things that my friends tell me about, you know, like having a hard time getting people to take them on dates and stuff like that. Like, I don't really have an issue with that, you know. It's just that, you know, meeting the right people and, you know, building the bond and having the time to do it, you know, probably would be hard to do, you know.
Yeah.
Hard to do when you have a small child, because, you know, like if I get up and get dressed, like, you know, I'm not coming to kick you at your house because it's just too long to find a babysitter and all this and decorations. Like, what? You know. And then COVID has showed up now. It's hard now. COVID has showed up, and, you know, it just makes it hard because less options. And then, you know, now I got all the time in the world. Everybody's at home.
Yeah.
And they start shutting stuff down again. You know, where you can't really just get out and meet folks like you could before. So now I got to be grateful whenever the world opens back up. But
so do you feel it? So you saying it's harder for you to date in Dallas than it is Monroe?
Logistically, yes, because at Monroe, my mom is there. Everything is 5 minutes away. So like here, you got to think, I got to get dressed. Then I got to drop my child off, which everything here is about 20 minutes away. So I'm taking her to my sister's house. That means I have to be up and ready, take her out to my sister's house, then go wherever we're going. And then there's a chance when I leave there, I got to come pick her up. And then when I was working, you know, we couldn't go through the week because she had school in the morning, so she had to be in the bed at a certain time. It just logistically didn't work well, you know. Like, you know, if I was dating somebody, like if I came here dating somebody, you know, they could just come to my house and that'd be different, you know. But now because we got to go out and date, I got to feel like getting up, you know. I got to feel like get dressed. And then when I was working at that school, it was so stressful. I was tired when I came home.
Your problem is you got to put the energy into it.
Yeah, I feel that. I understand that.
You got to put the energy
but,
into it.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm not just, you know, I understand like when people say it's hard to meet people out here, and everybody has so many options because of online dating, like they can literally swipe and meet somebody new. But I just believe that if it's meant to be, it's gonna be. So, you know, I've had, you know, I've dated people that, you know, have acted crazy and, you know, not worked out. But I try to tell myself, you know, and they can say I'm acting crazy too, I guess. But I try to tell myself that if that situation was meant to happen, it would have happened, and because it didn't work out, that means we weren't meant for each other unless it comes back around. So, you know, I just leave it at that and keep it moving.
Why would you say that if it's meant to happen? Is meant? That's crazy.
What you mean? If it's meant to happen, like, you know, you get in relationships with people or whatever you want to call it. You get in relationships with people, and like something happens that breaks y'all apart. You know, and you know, like I grew up watching my mom and dad. You know. Like, they were together for, I don't know, 40-something years or whatever before my dad passed away. Yeah. So I saw the breakdowns of marriage and the come back together. So I don't expect it to be this fairy tale. And so, but some people, you know, they don't, you know, I've been accused of being too nonchalant, or, you know, some people say I'm mean. I don't know. So I just say, you know, if something can break us apart, it's not dealing with cheating, you know, just a communication error, you know, something that we can't, you know, communication-wise, and, you know, wasn't talked through, then, you know, if you're not here, you weren't meant to be here. And,
that's crazy,
you know.
That is crazy. That don't even, I'm going to tell you something. Well, I'm not gonna go into that on the podcast, but marriage is about way more than communication. People say that.
Well, I'm saying you can't force people to be in your life, is what I'm saying. Yeah, I can't force you to be a part of my life.
I get that.
So if you leave, we weren't meant to be together, is what I'm saying. Like, if something happens that is outside of, like, you know what I'm saying? I didn't sleep with your brother, friends, you know, and it was something that was just like poor communication from the both of us, and we could have worked on it, but you chose that communication wasn't the route you wanted to go. That means we weren't meant to be together. Mm-hmm. That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying.
I think this is not pertaining to you, but I think a lot of times with men, a lot of men, it's not that men don't communicate. A lot of men just don't know how to listen.
I can agree. You didn't listen when I said men and that. If you just said nope, they don't. I'll tell you why.
You say what you say?
I believe that because you didn't listen when I say men have an advantage. You went, nope, they don't. Let me tell you why.
I still don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. Men don't. I don't agree with that. But what I say to that is, what I've learned is being married is being a good listener. You know, being a good listener. That's a key component.
You know, another thing, you know, when we talk about men and women, it's like I feel like women are expected to, like, you know, be with a man as they grow, like financially, you know, maturity level. It's kind of like, well, you know, just like that guy you sent me his podcast or whatever, I can't think of his name, that you brought up the other day. You know, he's like, you know, when the girl was like, oh, she stopped talking to a guy that she thought was going to be her husband, but he didn't make enough money. He's like, well, men don't get to the, you know, top earning or, you know, the highest earning in their 30s, and you stop talking to them. Like, how am I supposed to, you know? And
okay,
and it's like men are. Well, let me finish first. Hold on.
No, I'm saying I agree. Go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say women are expected to push through, you know, and watch a man grow. But then, like, women, you know, what if my shortcoming is just my lack of dating and, you know, just having been out there? It's like men don't always want to stay around and develop. You know, they want you to be perfect. They want not perfect, but, you know, just have all their check marks. Or it's like, oh, you know, as that guy said, you know, I used her as, you know, she was my vehicle to get to the next level. But once I got to the next level, like, he was like, you know, thank you brought me here. But it was time, I had outgrown that vehicle. It was time to find another vehicle. It's just like, it's a bunch of foolishness. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying every man is like that. But when I hear stuff like that, I'm like, what? Imagine a woman coming out. Like, women can't even say they want a man that's a provider. And then they're told that they're a gold digger. You need to get your own job. You need to be self-sufficient. You need to be on your own. You shouldn't be dependent on no man, But a man is like, oh, that girl you dating, she ain't cooking for you. She don't take care of the house, how she keep her kids. You can tell a lot about women, how she keeps her house, It's like, okay, I gotta know how to make this, that, and this, but you don't even have to know how to change oil. Like, where's this disconnect? When we get here?
Well, here's the thing. The thing about social media is a lot of these guys, they're not being honest. They're not. And the thing about it is, I listened to his podcast, and he asked women, do you want a man that provides to where you can be at home? And the women will say, some of them, majority will say yeah. And then he'll ask them certain questions, and he's like, why don't you want to, you know, it's almost like a trick question. And when he asked that question, me being married, the time span I have, the thing that he projects is just not realistic. Number one. Number two, he's 100% correct. The average man I don't remember him saying 30s, but I know statistically the average man doesn't really get wealthy until they're like in their 50s and 60s. They're older because it takes time. You know, I mean, me personally, I'm a prime example. In my 20s, I was laid off twice. I had a lot of jobs, trying this, trying that, you know, but then when I got like 28, 29, you know, things started kind of clicking for me because, you know, I finally got a good rhythm and I matured a little bit. I matured more and more. And, you know, and the thing about it, as a man, we don't have the luxury, and I'm speaking as a man, we don't have the luxury to always be flip-flopping this, that, and the third. You know, a man has to have structure, you know. And I'm not saying a man that doesn't have structure is not a man, but I'm only speaking from my perspective. You know, you have to have structure in your life. You have to have, a career, a business. You have to have some stability going on, because as a man, the world's not giving you any excuses, and it's just not going to happen, you know. And I just feel like a lot of times when I see a lot of single women, especially single black women, you know, a lot of them say, I want a man that make this amount of money, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, well, when I first got married, I didn't have shit. You know, compared to what I have now, I was like, damn. But I was, you know, consistently always striving, and I finally found a groove, you know, and that's, you know, you know, I could have, you know, my wife could have been like, well, shit, you ain't making this amount of money, I'm out of here, you know, but that's not realistic, because there have been times where I've been laid off, and she was the one bringing money in, and I don't know what we would have done, you know. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I cook, my wife cook, I clean, you know, I pay the majority of the bill. I literally pay the majority of the bills, but at the same token, I don't make my wife feel inferior. And when I hear men, like a lot of times I hear men say, you know, a man should pay all the bills, a man should do all this, and I'm just like, brother, that's not realistic. That's just not.
My dad did it.
You said what?
I just did. My dad did it, and you know, I don't want to, you know, talk about my personal life, but something you know, everybody can't, right? And it depends on your bills, and I give you all that. Yeah, the cost. I feel like it depends on what you want. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, I feel like, you know.
Well, you got to remember though, when your parents, you know, your parents was coming up, I could imagine, huh?
It's a different time and deals with you. I get that.
Yeah,
I'm talking about me personally. How, you know, I've had people who've taken care, you know, of all the household bills, but then it's like I can contribute in different ways. You know, I did pay the light and the cake, but you know, I just say, you know, you can make it work, you know. And if I had, you know, I feel like, especially when you bring kids into, you know, the place, like, it just depends. It depends on the person. It depends on where you live at, how much it costs to live there, and, like, what we consider, you know, a decent living arrangement. Like, I would never allow my family to struggle, you know. Mm-hmm. And I've always been self-employed, too, so it's not like I wasn't bringing in money. Mm-hmm. But I would never let my family struggle because... But I think there's a place, like, I want to be home with my child. Like, that's why, you know, that's why I really, really like the idea of being self-employed. Look, COVID changed everything, you know, because what I was doing was more of a service business and people weren't talking to people anymore like that. So I had to, like, figure out a way to make it online and be, you know, relevant online. But, you know, I'm really liking that, you know, in a sense, because, you know, I get to decide, you know, in the fall, you know, to keep my child home. You know, a lot of jobs are offering from home now. But I get to keep my child home and homeschool, and I have to send her to these prisons they're trying to open up for the kids, you know? And,
well, here's the thing. As a man, that you know, and I'm not saying what you want is not realistic, but I understand.
It's not realistic.
Huh? Say what?
But you said it's not realistic, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it's not realistic, but what I'm saying is that feasible right now in your current situation? And of course, I'm not trying to get too personal. You know that. Me and you chop it up offline. You know,
can I keep her home in the fall? Or are you saying if I got married, somebody be able to take care of? Which question are you at?
Okay, let me ask you like this. So, when you get married, I'm not gonna say if, because I believe you are gonna get married.
All right, speak it into existence. Go ahead.
Are you expecting your husband to pay all the bills and allow you to stay at home, or what? What do you want to do?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to pay all the bills. Like I said, I just need somebody that, you know, maybe I would pay my own bills. You know, as far as like if I had a car note, you know, credit card. Mm-hmm. You know, I would definitely pay light bill, cable. I don't think cable is necessary, but we gotta have cable, something like that. I wouldn't be a bill though. Like I'm not the person that you don't have to take me shopping. You know, like, we don't have to have brand new cars. It just depends to me. It depends on what your goals are. You know, okay. Like I want time with my family. You know, so I don't have to have, you know, a brand new car. I keep my car note paid off. You know, I keep my car running till it stop working. I'll find ways to make sure dinner is, as cheap as possible. If I got the coupon clips, I can do that. Also, my business is to generate income. That's how I've been living. So it's not like, I wouldn't be bringing in any income. But, and like at the end of the day, if we like move to, I don't know.
Let me say this.
California, but let's say we move to California. California, them houses.
You're making grilled cheese tonight. The store with the really, really good cheese closes at 7. If it's 12.1 miles away and work ends at 5:45, but rush hour picks up around 6:15, when's the latest you can leave for cheese? Don't know? Not to worry. Waze knows. Take a look at the traffic forecast and plan your drive ahead of time. Waze. Download and drive today.
Like $500,000, right?
Yeah.
Of course, I know I wouldn't be able to live out there unless I met somebody that was, wealthy. I know realistically, living in a place like California where everything is so expensive, or New York or DC, like those type of areas where, like, when I was down there, that was years ago, the studio apartment was like $1,350. I think they told me for a studio apartment. So I know now it's about like whatever. It's about like $1 million. I understand, like that type of situation, maybe you wouldn't be able to be at-home wife. I feel like in Dallas, they have houses that your mortgage would be like $1,300, $1,400. I mean, I know it's steady going up, but I think that's doable because men live alone. That's what I don't get. Like, men live alone. Men have houses by themselves. And then they feel like just because they get a wife, like all of a sudden, the house costs more now. Like, if I'm saying that, okay, I'll pay your light bill, I'll pay your cable, I'll make sure, you coupons, clipping. We ain't got to get no brand new cars. And, we ain't got to have the latest this, that, and this. Like, we're going to enjoy each other. We're going to spend our money on each other. And, I'm still going to do my self-employment. I'm still going to be generating income. Like, I don't understand what's up.
To me, it sounds like you want to be a stay-at-home wife.
I want what?
I said, to me, it sounds like you want to be a stay-at-home wife.
Because I still have my business,
Well, I get that, but as I know me and my wife personally, and I think what will make you successful is you and your significant other will have to sit down and agree upon it. Because I'm gonna tell you, I would love for that to be my situation. But my thing is, if I'm making $8,000-$9,000 by myself, and my wife is working and she's making an extra $2,000 or $3,000, why not have 12? Why not have $12,000 a month? And why not?
I mean, that's your goal. That's
listen.
I'm not hating on people that don't want the lifestyle.
No, listen. What I'm saying is, why not work hard? And my thing is, at least our goal is bust our ass right now, stack our money right now. 25, realistically, our goal will be met in 25 to 30 years. Then we can relax, if there is such a thing. So I think that has to be clear, for
right.
For
and I'm clear when I date.
But like
when
I said,
hear men that say,
Go ahead. You good?
No, I'm just saying I'm clear. It's not like I would have somebody really get interested in me, be like, well, look, this is what I want. Like, I'm very clear when I talk to people. And you'll be surprised at how many people that are like I said, I don't meet too many guys who say no. Maybe they just saying something because they don't feel like we're going anywhere. They're like, whatever, yeah, I can do that. I can't say that in business. But most people be like, okay, I got that,
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I'm not asking you to give me a mansion off the lake. You know what I'm saying? Like, we can live as minimalist as you want to. I just want to be able to go to the school. If they call me to the school, I want to be able for the homework, I want to be, I just want to be able to, be in my child's life. And I don't know. When she graduates, maybe we can go hard. When his kids graduate, go hard, and then I don't know. I guess it depends. Like you said, y'all got a goal that y'all trying to do this. That's what works for y'all.
Yeah.
And like we started here and we moved our house because we got a job somewhere else. Like I said, DC, and it just wasn't realistic for me to be home because it costs so much to stay there. Like, I'm not saying I'm the type of person like, no, we agreed upon this. This is what I'm gonna do. Like, I would never see my family struggle and just sit back, you know.
Yeah.
But you know, if it was a situation where I could be home and work my business, and you go to work and I take care of home and the kids, and you know, this 2020, so most likely I'm gonna marry somebody with children, you know. So you know. Why not? You know.
And how do you feel about that? How do you feel about marrying someone with children? Are you okay with that?
It depends. So I would really like for all the kids to be by the same person, but if not, no more than 2, you know, if they're not by the same person. Because I just look at it as, I don't want to date somebody who's having a child and hopping to another relationship, having a child. That's the only reason I say that, you know, because I'm like, how I know, like, future, you know, how I know I ain't going to be the next, you know, victim. But other than that, I would love to be somebody that got a child around my child's age, you know. Mm-hmm. They can grow up like brothers. If they live, you know, close, you know, hopefully they can grow up like brothers and sisters or sisters and sisters, whatever, siblings. And I think it'd be cool, you know. I hope we could all get along and, you know, start on a good foot. And, I mean, I would like it because I'm not sure if I want another child at this age. You know, I would like to, but, you know, it depends on when you meet them. So I really wanted my daughter to have siblings. Yeah. So I really wanted my daughter to have siblings in the house, you know. So if I can't have another kid, if you had a child, you know, that she can still grow up with and, you know, still look at it as a sibling, I still think that's a win, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So your goals seem somewhat realistic. I think a lot of our women, they have unrealistic goals, and it's just like, man, that's not even real. And
do they have unrealistic goals, or are we not listening to our women? It's just like, I feel like women are almost ashamed to say that they don't want to date somebody that they can't provide. And it's not even that you need them to provide for you, because, you know, we all can, you know, most majority of us could, you know, do it on our own, because you do it on your own if you have no choice. You know what I mean? It's just that if I'm going to link up, I want somebody that I can, that's going to bring me to the next level and not bring me down. And it's like, you know, I just feel like women are judged and we don't listen, we don't hear them out. We just, you know, we make everything about the money. It ain't even about the money sometimes. It's about, a lot of guys feel better about themselves when they're at a certain point in their career. And if you date them before they get there, sometimes some of these dudes that are insecure, they'll try to bring you down with them. But it's like, you don't want to date that guy because you've been there, you've done that, and you see how they feel about themselves and how it's being, you know, projected onto you, you know, and it becomes your issue. So you say, you know what? I want to date a guy that's here, that feels well. It ain't even about necessarily the money. It's more so about the self-esteem that comes with when you feel like you where you're supposed to be in life, when you feel like, you know, you got your finances under control. Like, it just comes with a different level of self-esteem. So you don't have to deal with certain problems when a person is, you know, when they still searching, when they're young and they don't know, and, you know, like they, you know, the wrong person can project that off onto you and make it your issue. So you go, okay, well, I'm not dating that type of guy anymore. And then you're like, oh, she's gold digger. It's like, no, it's just that I know you feel better about yourself when you're further along in your career. And I want somebody that's stable and feels good about themselves, you know?
Well, here's the thing. When you start getting into relationships with people, and when you guys start talking about marriage and actually getting married, you absorb each other's debts, you absorb each other's family. Yeah. You because remember, when you get married, you ain't just marrying him, you marrying everybody. So right. That's something you have to take into consideration, you know. And I just feel like having, you know, wanting a man to provide is not necessarily the problem. But my thing is, how should I put it? I feel like a lot of times, something my grandmother used to always say, don't go to nobody else's house expecting more than you have at your own house. Does that make sense?
But I hear you now.
But listen, I hear what you're saying. Does that make sense though?
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. I get what you're saying. But you don't feel like, and maybe I'm just taking this too far back, but you don't feel like men and women have two different roles? So, like, that's not necessarily
most definitely
relevant to women.
Most definitely.
So, like,
well, here's the thing.
Like, I know, like, okay, go ahead.
Here's the thing. You have some relationships where the woman makes more money, and the man is a stay-at-home dad, and it works well for them.
That's him. Yeah.
I have no problem with that. And then you have some marriages where everything is split
Whatever
down.
You want.
Yeah, you have some marriages where everything is split down the middle, and that works well.
Right. That works too.
And then you have some marriages where, okay, I'll pay this, and then you just pay the utilities. So what I'm saying is, but coming into a relationship, and I'm not saying you're doing this because right now you're living on your own. You have your own things, which is a good thing. But I've seen where some women are like, hey, I want this guy to make this amount of money, this, and I'm like, well, damn, do you do that right now? No. Well, you're gonna have to be realistic. That's what I'm saying. That's what I say.
People go after what you want, and because the reason why you should go after what you want, just like how we talked about with the prices, is because you might find out, which people have, right? So I felt like maybe in my mind I say I want a guy that makes X amount of dollars a year. I need him to be this tall, this skin, like I'm over that. I'm 37. But let's say that was my stipulation. Like I want this tall. I want to make this amount. And so then you find it, and then you find out like, okay, well maybe maybe this isn't as important as I thought it was. Maybe this is more important. Maybe I want this, but you don't get there unless you have these, unless you have these experiences, unless you go out and do it. So, like, let whoever this person may be look for what they want, and then let them come to the conclusion that, okay, well, maybe, because life is about experiences. Life is about, going through things yourself, and you can tell people all day, but people just got to experience it. So, like, whatever people say they want, I say you should go for it. Because it's going to be up to you to find out if that's really what you want, or is that what you just think you want. Like, we all have a right to make our own, mistakes, decisions. It might work out for you, it might not.
We do,
but go for what you want.
But I'll tell you this much. Some of the best lessons I've learned was from other people's advice, and I didn't have to deal with it. So what I'm saying is, if someone is telling you, hey, like for instance, for you to find the man you want, it may have to happen with you, being I don't know if you are you actually a certified school teacher?
No.
Okay, so say for instance, say for instance, the industry you was in back in Monroe, which is like the football and cheer. There are a lot of single guys out there that you can meet that's coaches and that have good jobs and so like I said, you have to position yourself in that arena if that's what you so desire, and that's why I say it's one of those things where
if you're willing to take the advice though, so like I don't waste my time talking to people that ain't willing to receive it. It's cool. Like if you can't tell somebody they right or wrong if they willing to hear if they right or wrong. So it's like let people just do what they do, let them live their lives, let them figure out what they want.
Almost definitely, but I'm just saying sometimes there are some lessons, there are some things in life you don't have to go through if somebody's already been through that can tell you, hey man, you may not want to do that. I've done it before. You may want to try it this way, And
I want to give you an example. Like by no means that I purposely get pregnant with my child or whatever. But like when I was,
you say what now?
Got pregnant with her. By no means that I purposely wasn't planned. But, like when I was first, before I had kids, I used to always say I wanted a child. And, I had people that were like, oh, it's so hard to be a mother. And, like, it's certain things, like, I've watched my nieces over and over again. Like, they've been to my house. And, when I was even talking about, like in the beginning when I first got pregnant, and, I'm planning for her. And, my friends was like, just try to give me advice on this, that, and this. And it's like I was open to it, but it's like some things you just gotta live it. You can't no one could ever explain to me just like the mental part of it, or just how your life just changes as a mother. As much as they try to communicate it to me, if you ain't been there, you ain't been there. You just don't understand. So I can't accept your advice, even though it might be great advice, because it doesn't make sense to me from my perspective because I'm not there. It doesn't make sense to me. So then when I have the child, now that I have Chloe, you know, it's like, okay. But, you know, I'm here now. But it's just not something somebody can say to me and me understand it, if that makes sense, before you have the child.
So basically, you telling me you hard-headed.
I'm not hard-headed. And like I said, I didn't purposely try to have my child. I couldn't understand what they were saying before. Because like, I was like, oh, you know, da-da-da. And it's like, you don't want no child. Let me say you did that. I'm like, girl, be quiet. You have a child. How can you say that? Da-da-da. Like, that's what my mind was, you know. And then like, I was like, ooh, they were right about that, you know. Yeah.
So
you don't want no child. So
do you feel do you feel like you should have done things a little differently?
Yeah, definitely. You know, yeah, I'm just gonna say yes. I don't want to go too first. But yeah, I should have. If I could do it over again. That's why people be asking those questions like, if you could go back 10 years and you took this pill and, you know everything you know now, you go back or would you go forward and get money, da-da-da. It's like, well, I don't want to go back because if I go back, I wouldn't have my child because I can't imagine myself making the same mistake twice.
Yeah.
You know, now that I know what I know, but then I don't want my child not to be here, so let me just stay where I'm at. Because if I go back, I'll be messing up some stuff, you know. But, you know. If I could do it all over again, I would do it right, you know. Whatever right is, I would do it right. But you can't, so, you know.
I feel you, man. I just say
if they say everything happens for a reason, we'll find out one day.
Yeah, like I said, I understand your point of view. I do. I just see you just a stubborn woman. That's all it boils down to. You got to do it.
You think so?
Huh?
I said, you think so?
I know so. As they say, a hard head make a soft ass. So I don't know. Like I said, I understand your point of view. Don't get me wrong. And I know me personally, a lot of stuff I learned in life was from people who have been through there. And don't get me wrong, I have a lot of life experiences. You know, a lot of stuff I just learned, and it wasn't like it wasn't like, you know, there were some things where I didn't have anyone that kind of schooled me on this or schooled me on that. And and that makes a big difference, you know. But something I always try to remember, you know, like you said, we're gonna go through life experiences. There's no way you can avoid them unless you sit in the house all day and never come out. But I just feel like, you know, a lot of times, you know, as far as going back to the dating and marriage, that if we not only women, men too, men have to be realistic. You know, they just have to. You know, you gotta be realistic, and you gotta, you know, be like, okay. And from my experience, most men, I don't even go off of YouTube, because YouTube, to me, I think a lot of people, they're able to hide behind the camera and they can say one thing, but in real life, it's like, yeah, right.
That's not them.
It's not them.
I know too many guys like that.
Yeah.
They say that stuff. They be all hardcore on Facebook. You're like, I know this person. Like, I know this person in real life. There's nothing like that in real life. Why do people go to social media as one person and there's somebody else in real life? But I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, I've seen guys, you know, like one particular social media guy on YouTube, you know, he makes videos and he talks about what kind of women he wants, but then he got exposed to being with a woman that looked like a damn gorilla. And I'm like, well, hold on, bro.
I was about to say a name, but I don't know.
Nah, I'm like, well, hold on, bro.
That's rude. That's rude to say the girl looks like a gorilla. She doing what she can.
Yeah, say she, you know.
You know what I'm saying? I just judging the women.
I'm just being honest because
that's another way. Look at these rappers. They can come out overweight and, you know, just not attractive, and everybody loves them. If a woman come out, she got to be a size, you know, well, not skinny, but, you know, she got to be shapely. She got to look a certain way. Like, I think Megan is pretty, you know, but I've seen people in her comments, you know, her ass she's like a man because she's not, you know, I think she's beautiful, but she's not the standard of what this society is. Megan Stallion or whatever.
Oh, Megan Thee Stallion.
She's not the standard. How they harass Venus and Serena Williams you know, they talk about how nice her body is, but then, Tiana Taylor, you know, how they talk about, you know, it's just like when women have authentic, you know, looks, like they just, you know, they're like, they don't have like the stereotypical looks. It's like it's a problem, you know.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, this particular individual, I'm just saying that to say that I kind of knew that, I kind of suspected that about him, because usually the loudest one in the room is usually the weakest one in the room. And
do you know this guy personally, or is he like a big YouTuber?
No, he's not a big YouTuber at all. No, he's a small.
That's what I was thinking about.
He's a small.
I was thinking about Tommy Sotomayor. You know him?
No, I know about Tommy, but no. This guy, he's a small fry. But my thing,
you know, he talks bad about black women, dark skinned women. They kind of find out he's dating a dark skinned woman. Yeah, because they just be doing it for show.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. My thing, a lot of these guys, they try to tell you, you know, I don't date women this, I only date, and I'm like, dude, you are lying. Number one, that's not even realistic what you're saying, you know. And like I said, I don't want to go too deep into that, but I just feel like we as a people, especially black folks, black Americans, we got to be realistic, and that's all I'm saying. You know, you got to understand. You got to understand, you know, the average man you meet, he may not be making big money right now, but if you guys stick together and build together, you can get to where you want to get to. And that's realistic.
See, I think a lot of women just want a stable man. You know what I mean? It's not necessarily like, okay, you right. Like I saw a guy who said, you know, they say they want a man with a job, but then if he works at McDonald's, they don't want him. And, you know, it depends on the person you're talking to, you know, like, no, she works at McDonald's too. That might be it. I guess I don't get where this is coming from, because I know so many women that, okay, I don't know so many, but I do know some women that are taking care of me, and I know how passionate black women are about their man. Yeah. And so when people say women won't this, that, and this, I'm like, but we look past so many things. When you love somebody, you love them, no matter if they're making $1 million a year, or, you know, 20, 25,000, 30,000 a year. You know, you love somebody, you love them. And so, you know, like you said, these men be fronting. Some of these women say this stuff because it's good for conversation, it's good for a laugh. But at the end of the day, if you meet the right person, you know, and you fall for that person, like, you know, it doesn't matter. None of that matters.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't matter. You know, I think people should not only date for. I think love is important, but I think potential should be a priority. You know, potential.
Hey, there's potential.
Well, potential. If a guy, if you meet a guy that's making $200,000 right now, he said, I made $200,000 right now, but you know, in the next 5 years, I want to be at, or the next 10 years, I want to be at $1 million. That's what I mean when I say potential.
So I think potential. When women talk about it, they talking about they don't want a guy that's all over the place. Don't know what he want to do. You know, in between jobs, it's kind of like it's hard to invest in themselves. You know. Yeah,
I get that, but what I'm saying is that's what I mean. Potential should be priority because, like I said before, where a person may be at now, they may not be there 5 years from now. That's why I say that, and that's why you got to sit down and discuss, you know, what you guys want to do, where you guys want to be, and map out a game plan. That's all I'm saying, you know. But anyway, let me go ahead and end this podcast. I enjoyed this podcast. Right. You know, we got to do this again. I consider you a de facto co-host because you make this fun, and like I said, we got to do this again, and I enjoy having you on. And gonna end this podcast, and that's it.
Well, thank you for having me on.
No problem.
All right.
especiales increíbles hoy hasta agotar existencias en la venta de regalos que te encantará regalar en Macy's. Como ofertas geniales en abrigos para él y para ella de Calvin Klein, Anne Klein y más de los mejores diseñadores a solo $100 y menos. Ahorra en grande en carteras y billeteras, ahora al 40%. Y crea un ambiente cálido con un 70% menos en juegos de cama y mantas de franela abrigados de Martha Stewart Collection de hoy al jueves en Macy's. Además, recibe $10 en Macy's Money por cada compra de 50, hasta $40 en Macy's Money.
Recruiters, reduce your cost per candidate by about 50% with CareerBuilder. We connect you to qualified, diverse candidates at every stage of the hiring funnel. CareerBuilder Talent Acquisition Suite. Software packed with talent. Visit hiring.careerbuilder.com/recruit.